So we have a basic structure now. At this stage, I will compare actual photo reference versus my model and try to get the more closer proportion to the reference photos. So I'm gonna go over to the actual photo and then try measure the size and distance from each facial features to my model. The way I can do is I can create new layer and then the color. So don't have to be like super accurate at this point, but if I just eyeball it, this and this is about half. So eye is placed around the half of her head proportion, and this is another half about here. So there's a little bit higher, but where the forehead ended is a little bit higher than half of her head, so about 1/4, and also here about 1/4 there's a between the nose and mouth. So this is kind of the landmarks and the good proportion that we need to remember. So based on that, this is about a half our face right now, and then obviously eye is pretty high compared to the one that we can see in the reference. And the overall head proportion I can check here, and then it can be a bit larger. Back of the head, because face seems a bit large. Then jaw can get narrow a little bit. I do this quite often, masking and then smooth out the mask by hold control and then click inside of the mask area, so it can get blurred out, and using proportion like transform tool to move it around. So this way it's quite easy to manipulate this. So I'm gonna move it down, and then I can also change the scale a little bit. So and then this is not like completely like orthographic, so there'll be a bit of a perspective involved in this picture, right? So this half is probably not like exact half, and then also her jaw is a bit lower since mouth is open. So actual jaw probably go around here when her mouth is closed, and then this way you can change the color. If we, let's say this is the actual her head proportion, head height, then center is still somewhere around here, a little bit higher than before, but it's not like too different. So you can make half of her face somewhere around here, and then jaw can get higher a little bit, and then this is about half, so it can get below the nose a little bit. Yeah, we don't really have a lot of information around the face. You just barely have some basic landmarks in here and there, and then the placement isn't that accurate at this point. So everything is very fluid. You constantly move and check versus photo, and not just this one, but gotta check with a bunch of other photos as well. And as I mentioned earlier, those planar shape need to be a bit more accurate. It can get blurred, and it will need to be blurred out as time goes, but they need to be properly set up. So it won't get too much blurred out. I mean, the border need to be blurred out for sure, but we won't lose the transition between each planes. That's the main key point. This area has this sort of structure here. So there's one face one planar face going on here, and then it's kind of continuous to the side of the forehead, but there's a transition happening here to the cheekbone here. So there's a big planar face here, and then one here, and the one here. So that's where the transition happens, and of course one here. I mean, those planar face should be retrieved from the photo, but if you have hard time to retrieve it, then take a look at the planar head reference. Increase the resolution just a touch, maybe around 100 something. And the resolution of the dynamic should keep it low as possible. Doesn't mean that it has to be stay around like 30 or 60. You can increase it as you need. Just like 176, then I can still manage out to smooth out easily. Only lesion is if you go up too high, it's really hard to control the mesh. I mean, you can't really add or subtract the volume easily because there's so many faces I work. So just keep it low. There's no reason to set it high at the beginning. You see the corner of the mouse. You can get this sort of angle going here. Can also match some angles somewhere resemble to this reference, something like this, and it should be happen somewhere here, right? Draw some upper lip. Also lower lip. Our lip is quite complex structure. It's not just bulging out, but there's transition happens here. It happens quite quick. And then, so also it's kind of rolls in here, right? So this is so direction wise, this kind of goes up, and then there's a muscle that rolls around the mouse that goes like this. And there's another muscle that goes underneath of this set of muscle. So there's a bit of a layering effect there. We're gonna get into the detail later, but for now, just get some hint of the mouse, where they place, how they shape out. So proportions, this is about half, and then this is another half. So I guess mouth and nose can get a bit higher. So this is the angle from somewhere eye ends and to the nose. So it can get somewhere similar. Which happens somewhere here to here. So I guess it's about there in terms of position. I think mouse can get higher a little bit more because it's quite short from nose to the mouse top. I'm gonna use the other photo to get more accurate profile view of this model. For now, I'm just focusing to match the proportion closer to this photo at this point. Again, I'm focusing more onto the overall human head rather than matching to her appearance or likeness yet. And bottom of the jaw is also pretty interesting area. As I mentioned before, the transition, the cheek happens here, so one here, and the one here, so one goes here. So there's a sort of 3-point. So one from the chin, and then this is where it turns to the side. So there's 2 corner happens here. It needs to be reflect from this bottom to top view as well. So means that the line from here to here is not straight, but it needs to go something like this. It can be very subtle, but it kind of explains the structure, how they are structured from the base level area. Like this is the base of the entire face, so it's somewhat quite important structure. At this point, I will adding a sphere. So go append sphere 3D, and this will be my eye. It's gonna be placeholder, but I usually place eye this way. If you have some eye that you already made from a previous project or something, then you can totally bring them in. But sculpting with eye or without eye, it kind of make big difference, because as you can see, I mean, there's not much going on here just yet, but without eye, anything can become look like eyelid, and even without proper volume. Proper volume means that proper volume that covers this sphere. It still looks like eyelid, but it's not correct because it can't properly covers this sphere. So it's important to bring this texture sphere and then cover the volume properly, so we can when we place the actual eyeball. This one can be the eyeball later, but you won't lose much of the detail that you're sculpting already, because if you haven't added before and then you're trying to adding it later and it's not fit, then you might push and pull your sculpture that you've done already, and then it might lead you to do the lead work in that area in the worst case. So sooner is better. Somewhere here, and go geometry, modify topology, and mirror it. Well, so it's gonna be mirrored over. Now I will turn symmetry on, just in case. Select my sculpture, and then pull out eyelid. So it's kind of basically try to make some eyelid that looks like closed, and then we'll open up the eyes as sculpting goes a bit further. From this stage and until like first stage of the sculpting, when you get this much of the work done, then does it look like what it is supposed to be look like? It's fine, because the goal is not there, but the goal is to make the sphere to make a human like so, and then also we need to get the proper structure. So if you get all of them at this point, then you're in a good place. So usually the brow is a bit bulged out than other area. So there's a slight curve in and out like this. Say here. So brow area can get bulged out but just a little bit. We will smooth out this area later, but especially in the early phase, it's probably better to make this transition very obvious. So that nose won't be too blended with the front of the face area. Same for the bottom. The female model, especially the young female model, doesn't have much of a facial wrinkles or other like smaller features compared to old figure or even the male. In general, male has more wrinkles or a lot of interesting things going on the face. Means that we have a lot of things to sculpting, and it is somewhat easier to achieve the goal because there's many things to do, and then those all the things can become the part of the sort of personality of your subject. So it can get easier, but female model is not like that. It can be very subtle. So even sculpting is pretty much done, but basically not much things going on, and you kind of have to make it look good with a very small amount of information there. So that's sort of the challenge for gender young female subject. Shape is very similar to person to person. I mean, if we need to go to detail, then it's very different. Of course, every person's ear is different to another, but structure-wise, it's very similar. So once you know how it looks like, then you can sculpting that sort of base shape as a starting point, and then adding the difference when you go into the detail. So that's what I'm doing. And also ear shape or ear structure or ear volumes, rather say, need to be separate from the rest of the face area. I'm trying to separate out that volume as well. Slowly move to the second stage of the sculpting. As we introduce more smoother transition and try to check more of the anatomies of the face. Modeling is getting slowly more detailed than before. Again, try to get overall look first rather than match to her face as close as possible. Looks a bit flat here, from here to here. There must be some transition happens here, I think, but it's quite flat to here, so almost no cheek fat. So I think my cheek need to get pushed in a little bit. When you reach this point, it's time to get the proper proportion and the proper likeness, checking the photo very closely and try not to miss anything, any small details. Also, it's very important to not break anything that you've been done so far, which is proportion, a bigger proportion. And then that big planes. So the stage is almost done as well. I started from the basic head structure to the stage, somewhere between the real-life person and then the planar model. Overall proportions are still need to be adjusted, but it's enough for now, and we can continue to the next stage. Still a long way to go. It is very important to get the secondary proportion as close as possible, because it's getting really hard to adjust as details gonna be added on top. So spend enough time to match without getting much of details. So that's the key point for this second stage of the sculpting.